Good evening. We're back with more Lord of the Rings LCG, and tonight is the Morgul Vale on Nightmare difficulty. This is a very difficult quest on Nightmare difficulty. There's a couple of things that the encounter deck does to make life really difficult. One is a card that we've seen before that punishes you for playing multi-sphere decks. It favors monosphere decks by forcing you to choose a sphere, and everybody else outside the sphere takes 3 damage. The other is that to defeat the third boss, this is a 3 bosses quest. There's a few of those in Lord of the Rings LCG. This particular one, the third and final boss requires 5 turns to defeat the boss if you can't deal damage in the staging area, because you can only deal 1 damage at a time, and the boss has 5 HP. So that takes a number of turns unless you're playing a deck that specifically can damage in the staging area, and there is also a card that can come out that will heal the boss if it remains on the table. And there are shadow cards that return enemies to the staging area, so if you get some combination of those, you can get a reset basically on the final boss, where all your progress is erased and you go back down to 0 wounds on the boss, and that is quite inconvenient. So, this is a difficult quest, and the longer you delay, the more likely you are to get 10 progress onto the tower, and then you'll lose that way. So I struggled with this one with a variety of decks, but ultimately, well, you can play a deck optimized for this, or you can just kind of get lucky. Play well and get lucky, I guess. So anyway, the setup for this to open the game is pretty good, but I do have a pretty formidable enemy in the staging area, and I can't leave him there too long because the Orc Captor adds tokens to the tower, progress to the tower. Each round he's in the staging area. I start at relatively low threat, but if I don't get off to a strong start, since there's 5 threat against to begin the game, if I can easily take threat and then have to engage the boss right away. And this first boss reveals an additional card every time he attacks, so you don't want to leave him attacking for too long or you get overwhelmed by some of these nightmare enemies. But I'm able to engage this Orc Captor and take him out fairly quickly thanks to a pretty strong start with Outlands Allies and Knight of the Swan, and I haven't been punished for Ally Swarm yet, and I'm just kind of hoping that that won't happen this game, because if it does, I'll just probably lose. With a multi-sphere deck, this is a 4 or 5 sphere deck if you include neutral, that really doesn't do well against the encounter card, which punishes you for multi-sphere. So the quest would really like you to play monosphere. And you can build a specialty monosphere deck to defeat this quest. There's still challenges with that, though. So, got one of the enemies who can really be quite formidable later in the game because he gets an attack power for each progress onto the tower. But at this point, he's pretty tame, so I optionally engaged him and took him out while I still could do that relatively easily. There's the second Knight of the Swan, so we're really rolling now. In a lot of quests, that would mean game over for the encounter deck, but this encounter deck has equalizers in the form of the punish you for multi-sphere cards. And I'm debating using the secondary function of Heed the Dream, but I decide not to. Wouldn't really have enough to pay for everything and use the secondary function. I could have discarded the Envoy of Pelargir here and grabbed another Knight of the Swan with the secondary. That would have been a perfectly viable play. Maybe even a better one than the one I did. So, being at 30 threat now, I engage the boss and optionally engage the bodyguard. And the boss is going to attack one of my jump blockers. And if the attack destroys a character, one onto the tower, and then I have to reveal a card, and it is a location. At the end of the round, I have to either exhaust a hero or place a progress onto the tower. Luckily, with this board setup, I'm always going to have a hero available to exhaust at the end of the round. So, in this case, I have enough attack power to take out the bodyguard and the boss. No problem. And that'll move us on to phase 2 with Lord Alcaron. And only 3 onto the tower, so pretty good so far. Just need to not have the dreaded card come up. And there's the third Knight of the Swan, so this is very strong now. Not too much more I'll be looking for in the deck. There's another Ethir Swordsman, a couple more Anfalas Herdsman. And that'll clear the location. And now I have to consider whether I want to. A few times I forget to actually click the exhaust button on a hero at the end of the round for that card, but I always have one available. Return attacking enemy to the staging area. That's pretty annoying. That's a pretty common shadow card in this deck against this quest. And of course I'm hoping for a shadow effect here because Lord Alcaron will attack again if he doesn't get one. And he places 1 progress each time he attacks, and there is a shadow effect, so just 1 attack, which is good, and I can just take him out pretty easily. And that'll move us on to phase 3. Phase 3 is the most time consuming, so we got to add the Nazgul and the White Tower. And the White Bridge, yeah. That can really be a punishing location if you got a lot of progress onto the tower. And we got to reveal another card in addition. So you really can add a lot of threat to the staging area at the end there. If you got 5 or 6 tokens on to the tower, you're going to be adding 10, 13, 12 or 13 threat in addition to what you already have. That's a lot for some decks to handle. Really a lot. And you can't really delay a long time getting everything set up because you lose to the tower. So raise threat by questing characters. That punishes ally swarm too a little bit, but I wouldn't consider that one significant unless I got 2 or 3 of those. You can survive 2 or 3 of those. You can't survive more than 1 of the Monosphere one. But anyway, clear the location, get the White Bridge out of the way, and all enemies will engage here. One of those spiders came out this round, and so he gets the buff. Basically, he's going to kill somebody. The other spider did not come out this round and is relatively tame, so the spider that did come out this round is going to attack a chump blocker, and then I've got the Nazgul attack on a chump blocker as well. So I'm going to be able to take out everything and put 1 damage on the Nazgul. The Nazgul's card text reduces any amount of damage dealt to him to 1. So, without being able to do damage to him in the staging area, I believe in normal mode I used a specialty deck using ranger bows to deal damage to him in the staging area, which was fun. Probably viable in nightmare mode too with some modifications. Jump blockers will be helpful because I've got to deal damage to the Nazgul 1 damage at a time, so that's 5 turns to kill him. And place 1 progress and another enemy who's going to be a 5 attack power enemy, and I don't make enough progress to clear the White Bridge now because I need 5 now that the to the tower has 5 on it. So it's going to be a 5 attack, And there's the dreaded card. It was a shadow card for no effect, so that's great. And attacking enemy gets +3 shields, no problem. Now I will have no problem clearing the board, except for the Nazgul and dealing my 1 damage. Need to deal 8 to get 1 damage on him, but no problem. It's just 2 guys. So 3 more turns. And I actually did the exhaust there for the location. I forget a couple of times, but I always have a hero available for it. So that'll clear the location and go ahead and move to the new one. The other one isn't really anything I need to worry about with so many actions available from so many different characters. And the boss gets 2 more shadow cards. So it's gonna put 1 more onto the tower. I think that's what it said. Is that what it said? No. What it said was if the attack is undefended, you put 1 onto the tower. So here I add 6 threat to the staging area and add another 1 to the tower, but 2 more turns will deal with the Nazgul. So just gotta continue not getting the dreaded card for 2 more turns. Nazgul has now eliminated all chump blockers and is eliminating guys I actually care about. And there's the guy that heals the Nazgul to full. Definitely don't want to leave that alive until the end of the round. But in this case, the Nazgul only needs 1 damage, so he does return to the staging area, so I can't kill him. But as long as I can kill the Nazgul, it's fine. Except that the Nazgul returns to the staging area too. So that is going to heal him to full at the end of the round, and there's nothing I can do about it. All I needed was 1 more turn to kill him. And now I have to start all over. So he should have 0 damage on him now. And I'm going to fix that in just a moment. Yep, realization hit me. So I've got to wait 5 more turns. 5 more turns to not get 3 more to the tower, although the attacks aren't... My random Outlands allies can tank an attack from the Nazgul as long as it doesn't get a buff from a shadow effect. So let's go ahead and take out that healer. That was very unlucky, having both enemies return to the staging area just when I needed 1 more damage to go. Very unfortunate. But we'll keep going. Did I forget to place a progress onto the tower here? No, I'm good. It was only if a ally was destroyed and her character was destroyed, and in that case no character was destroyed. So 1 will be destroyed here, but that doesn't do anything except destroy the character. 3 more turns, and I don't have any cards to play, so it's just quest, kill, hope for the best. And that guy doesn't get returned to the staging area, so that's good, but he does kill Denethor. Rip Denethor. And we're going to take out the bodyguard and then put damage number 3 on the Nazgul. Okay. Pretty innocuous shadow card. 2 more turns. There's another Master's Malice, is it? That's good. Lucky that was not the encounter card, it was just one card away. I accidentally discarded the Nazgul, but it should be damage number 4, and then I need one more round. Hopefully, this time will be the time. And I get the healer again. And just gotta hope that this time I'm able to deal with him. Or not have the Nazgul return to the staging area. So he's gonna probably kill the Hunter of Lamedon. He gets 2 more shadow cards. There's only 1 left in the deck though. So no problem there. And 1 progress onto the tower. That's only number 7. And now I can end the game. Damage number 5, and that will do it. So, very difficult quest, and you can see some of the things that can go wrong there. And that was in a playthrough that went where everything went relatively well. I didn't get Master's Malice, which would just slaughter this deck. With some other decks, they struggle with either taking too much threat too quickly or taking too long to get ramped up. You do have to have some questing power and some attack power in this one because at the end you can see I added at least 12 threat to the staging area. And you got to be able to deal with that, and you got to be able to deal with the bosses fairly quickly because if you can't, Lord Alcaron adds 1 progress to the tower every time he attacks. And the first boss, what was his name, Mulag or something like that, he reveals a card every time he attacks. And both of those are pretty nasty effects. So this is a challenging quest to close out this cycle. Yeah, thanks for watching.